baddest. The person's status depends on salary, and my mentality is money orientated. I'm destined to live the dream from all my peeps who never made it. Cause yeah, we were beginners in the hood as 5%ers, but something must have gotten in us cause we all turned to sinners. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jamel Saladin. I study the past because that's a good way to realize how we got to the present. That's why I study the past. So after several generations going by, we don't even know why we end up doing the things we do. We don't know why we glorify the things we do. If you don't know the past, you won't know your present, and therefore you can't predict the future. So my channel is Society, Past, Present, Future. That being the case, I'm not telling these stories because I want to glorify. No. I actually want to understand. Yo, what happened? So, as promised, I do have a lot of different content for us to go over, right? It allows me to enjoy what I do as a social scientist. I appreciate everybody that rocks out with this channel. You've been supporting. This here video today, we're gonna go over the death of Christopher Brothers in Brooklyn. We're gonna go over that and then the repercussions of that, right? So this here is coming from a book called Notorious Cop, written by Derek Parker. I think he's retired now, but they still give him the status, I'm sure. He's considered our first like hip hop cop. You understand? It's crazy because I had got pulled over by his task force before. I'm saying too much. Easy. Let's relax. Let's just turn it down a notch. Let's turn it down a notch. I don't know the statute of limitations. I'm up here blamming away. Easy, fella. Easy. Alright. Let's go over here. Let me just see where I want to start.
Elite cadre designed to bring these thugs down.
Hold on. Let's bring that back 30 seconds.
New affiliations and alliances across Brooklyn and even other boroughs like Queens. In no time, the dealers had stepped up their attacks on the police. It was the homicide of a New York cop, in fact, that would seriously dent the A-Team's activities, as well.
By the way, the homicide he's talking about is Edward Byrne, and that is going to be a part of this playlist. So, I'm going to put the Edward Byrne cop shot series in the same playlist with the Brooklyn and Queens street stories. Right? So, and again, this is education, and I don't say, yo, this is just for educational purposes, just to say it. No, we're really going to start to break down so we could get some knowledge of self. We don't have knowledge of self. That's the first problem. And then, first of all, I'm out of pocket. I just want to give a moment of silence for Mother Khadijah's death. Farrakhan's wife, if we could please just give a small 5 seconds, if you don't mind, of a moment of silence. Yes, sir. We don't have knowledge of self. We are out of pocket. All right, let's get started with this here story, right? Because I found it to be a wow. Yeah, I'm gonna see. Let's go.
Cops. Hey, cop. I know what kind of car you drive. he'd say to our faces if we rolled by him on the avenue. "I'm going to rape your wife and kids. I'm going to blow up your house, pig." The next thing you knew, the cops would beat the shit out of him. Angel had to have a driver because if cops saw him, they'd beat his ass. In no time, the dealers had stepped up their attacks on the police. It was the homicide of a New York cop, in fact, that would seriously dent the A-Team's activities, as well as those of their Queens counterparts, the Supreme Team. In fact, since I had left the 81st for Bed-Stuy, the A-Team had shamelessly stepped up their game, growing deadlier than ever. Whispers on the street suggested they were spreading their empire, creating new affiliations and alliances across Brooklyn and even other boroughs like Queens. The A-Team had become a one-gang epidemic, so I wasn't surprised when in 1988, George Duke, one of my old squad commanders from the 75th, called me in for a new assignment. Working between the 75th and the 81st Detective Squads, I was to join up with a group of detectives from various Brooklyn precincts and create the A-Team Task Force, an elite cadre designed to bring these thugs down once and for all. There was such a pattern of homicides in our area associated with the A-Team, they had to be shut down. Almost immediately, an A-Team related homicide appeared on my radar. I caught a case involving a guy named Christopher Brothers. He was killed in front of a house on Herkimer Street between Saratoga and Howard Avenues in Bed-Stuy. I was working on the Brothers case with a senior detective from the 81st named Terrence Murnane, a great investigator and hostage negotiator. Terry's nickname was General Zod, after the powerful villain from the Superman comics. Terry would speak his mind so authoritatively, he sounded like a general. You didn't want to fuck with Terry. Most cops were scared to go anywhere near the projects. They were afraid they'd get shot. Me? I thrived on that kind of tension. I was so crazy then, and Terry was just as fearless. We knocked on all the doors in the block, just trying to figure out who Chris Brothers was, where he lived, and what he was doing before he got shot.
Now, I have associates out in these projects, and I mean no disrespect. I don't mean to be insensitive. So that's not. I hope I'm not perceived like that. I have associates and friends who actually was friends with this guy. So again, this is not to disrespect. I take my role as a social scientist serious. I may use different tactics that time, but trust and believe I'm always on the job as a social scientist and someone here to fix things. So it's no disrespect. That being said, let's get back into this story. We was going to talk about these brothers anyway, right? So we was eventually going to get to his brother Herman. Either way, let's keep going.
Around midnight, General Zod and I stumbled onto something interesting. We stopped at a house on the block where Brothers was killed. After we rang the doorbell, 4 beautiful black women came to the door in bathrobes and curlers. 2 sisters, Yolanda and Raquel Thomas, their hot, young-looking mother, and a cousin. All of the women denied knowing Christopher Brothers and declined to give any further information. When we left the house after interviewing those women, we still felt there was more to the story. I said to General Zod, "This guy was definitely coming from this house. How could 4 beautiful women be up this late looking this fresh?" He agreed. I mean, come on. With 4 women looking like that? I know that's where I'd be coming from. The Brothers' homicide case got stranger still. When I interviewed Chris Brothers' mother, a church-going woman who cried so hard when she learned her son was killed, she denied that her son had any enemies. I noticed, however, that her apartment was completely furnished with expensive furniture and a brand new washer and dryer, which I found rather unusual for an apartment in the East New York projects. As Zod and I delved deeper into Christopher Brothers' death, we found out a lot of things that contradicted the interviews we'd done. Both Christopher and his brother Herman were in fact drug dealers. Stranger still, we discovered Brothers' murder wasn't over drugs. It was over a woman. Chris Brothers had been seeing one of the 4 women from the house on Herkimer Street, Yolanda Thomas. Yolanda proved to be the case's crucial link. I'd learned, in fact, that she was an albatross, a ghetto femme fatale. Seemingly everyone she came in contact with would die a horrible death.
Yes. Chill. I don't even mean to laugh. It's just, that's crazy. I'm just thinking about some of the women that I was dealing with over the years, right? Um, Coming from Mount Vernon, New York, but you meet these women wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember one time I got a. Where was we? Where was we? I think we was at the Palladium. I don't know where we were at, to be honest with you. I know I came back up to Mount Vernon and I told my man Doug Knox, yo, I met this bad chick last night from Brooklyn. He was like, word? Cause his peoples was originally from Brooklyn and then they moved to Mount Vernon. He was like, yeah. I said, yeah. Where's she from? I said, the Pink Houses. He said, take that number and throw it out the window. He said, take that number and throw it out the window. And it was that was always a challenge to go to meet a girl and then she tell you where she live and are you going to show up? You know what I'm saying? And then I remember one time I met this chick from Queens. Nice. I don't want to say chick. Her name is Simone. She's very pretty. She was from over there in God Brewer, but she told me where she lived, and this is a younger version of me. So when I go out there, I got the fifth on me, and I got this big Pele jacket. So I get in her elevator, and right before the door closes, it's like a movie. Like this can only happen in a movie. Right before the door closes, all of a sudden, a hand reaches in and pushes the door open, and like 4 cops step in, and I'm like, damn. I'm really saying damn because the gun is actually, it feels like it's slipping a little bit, and I'm dressed like a thug. So I'm just trying to play it cool. And I'm like, please don't fall through my peel, please. I didn't always carry a gun on me. I was only carrying it because I was going out there to Queens to see her, and I didn't really know what the temperature was going to be when I got out there. But that was part of the risk of going to see a girl and in a place you didn't live. It always felt like there was a lot of anxiety, especially if she lived in the projects and you had to walk through those lobbies. You're not from there. It always felt like this better be worth it. Like you never knew what was gonna happen because, as we all know, the dudes from any project. It's not just New York projects. You could show up to projects in California to go see a girl. And trust me, the dudes out there is going to give you a hard time. So that's just a universal thing. Let's get back into the story.
Yolanda would later date 3 more guys that would be victims of brutal homicides, and Yolanda's beautiful young mother would eventually get killed by her father. I felt sorry for her. Not so sorry that I didn't want to get to the bottom of the case, however. I had become close with a girlfriend of Yolanda's who eventually gave me the clues I needed to piece the puzzle together. It took me some time to win this girl over. I followed her from place to place until she said, "Damn, Parker, you just don't give up." After much cajoling, this informant told me that Chris was killed because Yolanda had been seeing him on the side, while her main boyfriend, Kason, a drug dealer from Bed-Stuy's Tompkins Houses project.
Not for nothing. Is it me or does Kason sound like he was going to be that type of individual anyway? I mean, it was just the name. It's funny because they say there's power in the tongue. But as a former teacher of the Board of Education, it's certain names. As soon as you tell me your name, I know what time it is. I just know what time. I'm like, oh, here we go. You show me a Tyshawn and I show you an interrupted class. I'm just letting you know. All the names that just sound like they concocted because they was trying to put together something fancy. Instead of Shaniqua, it's Shonique or something like. Yeah. Your class is about to be interrupted. I'm just letting you know that, right? And this is why I don't agree with homogeneous learning. Let me slow down all these big. I just used that word on you on purpose just because I wanted to elevate your. Yo, this is why I don't watch his channel. He always talking that nerd shit. Where this bond, son? All it means is all your kids should not be in the same class together, right? I should not have a Tyshawn in my class and a Robert. You know why? Robert's parents really, they really got the best intentions for him, which is why he has that name. You understand? Let's keep it 1,000. They didn't want all the stereotypical nonsense behind. No. Your name is Mark. You understand? Your name is Robert. We don't need to tell people what the race is and all of that before they even get to see you. They could just read the paperwork and like, okay. Because not for nothing, even though my name is not Jamal, it is Jamel, but people just call me Jamal. It's crazy. Shout out to Roski too. Roski would never call me by my name. Even though he knew my name, he's like, nah, Jamal Sullivan. What are you doing? But guess what? You're not the only one. And I've never met a white Jamal ever. So they pretty much know who I am off the rip. So when it comes to homogeneous learning, all the kids shouldn't be in the same class, in my opinion. Put the kids on their level in the same class and then give them extra support. These bright kids, they don't really need extra support because they already showing the ability, right? When you put them all in the same class, you got kids that can't even read in the fifth. I'm talking about can't read at all. And then you call on them, that class is about to turn up. Not for nothing, that class is about to turn up because he don't want you picking on him. He think you picking on him. He don't think you trying to teach him. And you not trying to teach him. You are picking on him. You know goddamn well he can't read. I don't know why you even picked on him in the first place.
Was doing a prison bid. When Kason was released from jail, he got wind of Christopher's undercover lover routine and decided to kill him. After murdering brothers, Kason then threatened everyone in Yolanda's house, telling them that if they talked to the police, he'd kill them all.
Yeah. Kason was a problem. Not for nothing. No disrespect to his family, but nah, we needed him off the streets one way or the other, and that's a fact. You can't just go over. Now, come on, what are you doing? It's crazy.
Now, I already knew something about the shooter. Kason was notorious around Bed-Stuy. He lived in the Marcy Projects, home of Jay-Z, and was notorious as a terror with a gun. He'd just gotten out of jail himself. I knew I didn't have enough yet to charge Kason with brother's homicide, but I was hot on his trail. Armed with all this new information, we did some additional background searching on Chris Brothers. We found that he lived in no other than East New York's Cypress Hill Projects, home of the A-Team and my old 75th Precinct stomping grounds. I went over to Cypress one day to talk to the A-Team's #1 killer myself. It turns out Glaze was friends with Christopher Brothers. Inadvertently, I ended up giving Kason his death sentence. Once I asked Glaze some questions about Kason, the A-Teamer put 2 and 2 together immediately. When Glaze figured out who killed his friend, he was ready for vengeance. I hope you get Kason before I get him, Glaze spat defiantly.
Yeah, this is not the round. It's not the round Brian Glaze Gibbs of today, who's clearly a responsible manager at some type of warehouse, right? The round Brian Glaze Gibbs of today He has the dad bod, but thank God he's not. I hope he's not a father. Please God, no. Please God, no. This was the younger one, and to be honest with you, from what I hear, you didn't want no smoke with the younger one, not the younger Brian Glaze Gibbs. You didn't. But if I'm gonna be honest, if you say no snitching, there should be. If you have a policy of no snitching, then there should be vigilante justice in your heart, right? You should be like, nah, I'm not snitching because I'm going to take care of this fool. Right? But we'll get more into that later. But that's how I feel in my heart. If you are a regular citizen and you're like, nah, I ain't snitching, it's because you plan on taking care of this fool.
Glaze had real balls to say that to a cop, and apparently he made good on his word. Kason was home one day in his Marcy Projects apartment when a group of thugs put a gun to his girlfriend's head outside as she was returning home. Walking her up to the apartment she shared with Kason, they made her open the door and rushed in. The intruders surprised Kason, shooting him point blank before he could get to his guns, which lay on his night table alongside his bulletproof vest. Terrified, Kason's girlfriend ran out of the apartment, but as she started making her way down the stairs, the gunman shot her in the head. She died en route to the hospital. With the A-Team's ability to cause terror and fear like that, indeed, to erase anyone who might be a credible witness against them, it was hard to cultivate credible informants to take them. We had...
I don't know what to say. Kason had to be stopped. I know that much. This nigga was a problem. Sounds like God's work. I don't know. It sounds like God's work. He was a problem. And me personally, I don't know about you. I just don't like living in environments like that, right? And it's sad because what happens is it's either you or them. These are the type of people. You could be a good individual and you end up doing time because you just had to sit some nigga down. That's just it. So it's best not, like, as soon as you can get out of these environments, just go, man, because they're gonna make you do it to them. I see it all the time. So in this here story, which is just the first one for this, what we gonna name this series here? Brooklyn and Queens Street Stories. I'm gonna figure out something to name it so it differentiates from Edward Byrne. That's a whole different series we got going on. Same playlist though. We got a lot of content going, right? But it seems like the catalyst for most of this is having the drug money, right? These people can't even handle the money they get, and it's making them very arrogant. Now, as far as feeling so nonchalant about murder, because this seems to be prevalent. It's not even just Kason. Like, it's a lot of people in these stories. Evidently, they don't care nothing about murder, which I don't even know how it's any different from 40 years later, right? How are they any different from King Von? They're not. This is a perpetual state of ignorance that we have adapted to and normalized. So when people call me a weirdo, that don't even have the right to call me, like, these people, I doubt they would say that in my face. You know, guys like Up for Debate TV, I doubt you would say that to my face, bro. But because I'm not your stereotypical hip hop guy and I'm not glorifying street and all of this other stuff. That's why I'm weirdo to you. But in actuality, you are the weirdo, and that I'm trying to get to see. Yo, this behavior is not good for us. We are a civilized people. We have no idea the science behind this melanin. We don't. Other people do, and therefore they try their hardest to keep us in our lower self. So I've come to expose their plot and do my part to restore us back to glory. My name is Jamel Saladin. Hit the like button. Do hit the hype button. Welcome to my channel. And y'all about to get flooded with content. Alright, so tell a friend to tell a friend. Salute. Peace out.